Welcome back, Acolytes, and welcome to our tactical talk. This is the after report for our battle report that we just did, and if you haven't watched it yet, go back and watch it. We're going to talk about who won, so link to that in the doobly-doo. I'll wait. All right, time's up. I hope you went and watched it.
Spoiler alerts from here on out.
So we timed out. We actually played for an hour and a half, and a standard tournament round is an hour to an hour and 15, depending on the tournament. So we went way past tournament time limit before we called it, and it really illustrated Empire versus Empire. Their ships are really even. There wasn't a whole lot of death in this battle report because those ships are just so hard to bring down.
Also, we both brought a lot of ships. There were a total of 11 ships on the board right now, or for this battle report. And like I brought 6, you brought 5. You had maxed out your stuff. I had like bare stock straight from the factory.
All the TIE fighters.
All the TIE fighters.
Except the TIE Punisher.
Except for the TIE Punisher.
Who came to bring the thunder, bring the boom.
Unfortunately, he did not bring as much boom as I'd wanted, but you'll hear about that more later.
Right. So, let's talk from the very beginning. The first thing we did was place asteroids. And I want to bring this up because it was part of my strategy, which is in the war room, about what I wanted to happen. And right from the beginning, my job was to put the asteroids in such a way to block up jousting lanes. I didn't want you to be able to bring all of your TIE fighters at the same point. But you tended to help me. I expected you to spread your asteroids out, but you created that cluster in the center.
Well, I was originally actually going to spread my asteroids out, and the problem that I ran into was the parameters of the game, like the rules. You can only set your asteroids within one
range 2.
It's range 2 from the edge, but run from each other.
Right.
And so I was planning on having it super spread out to stop any of your flanking whatsoever, but I ran into that range 2 from the board. So then I focused on trying to create a centralized thing where I could then have one flank or swarm.
Okay. So that was the original idea, was go around the edge and just come in with everything.
Yes, or create a couple of lanes in the middle that I could dominate.
But of course, I intentionally put mine spaced with yours so that you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that explains that. The next thing we did was we placed our ships. And I placed mine kind of center over here, and then you spread out. You took that entire chunk of the board and just covered it in TIE fighters. So what was your thought process in keeping them spread out like that? Did you just want board coverage?
A little bit. I wanted all the coverage I could just to cover as many firing arcs as possible.
Okay.
This is the second swarm build ever that I've played. And so I'm still really new to the mechanics of swarm and like the fine tuning. And so that spreading out was, I'm just trying to cover all of my bases and especially create a wall for my TIE Punisher.
Okay.
Which I put at the very edge, furthest away from all of your ships.
Right. And that'll be something in a future video. I'll talk about swarm play and how to do that more efficiently. Because normally with a swarm, you want to bring everything to bear at the same time.
Yes.
And you ended up getting kind of scattered, not able to do that.
I did, and by the time in the game where I realized I had messed up that way, it was already too late.
Post-alpha strike.
Yeah.
So that brings up the next part, which is in turn 1. One of my stratagems that I was talking about in the war room was trying to drag your ships into the asteroid field to split them up so that they couldn't all come at me at the same time. You kind of did that on your own.
I kind of did, yes. I saw that you had 2 ships kind of off to the side that weren't with the other ships, and so I wanted as much covering fire and also kind of as a distraction from the TIE Punisher, because my whole point was to focus protection on the TIE Punisher.
Okay, so those first 2 TIEs that were coming over, they were a screen.
Exactly.
They were just there to tar pit up all my units while everything else came around this way.
That was kind of the general idea, yes. Give your guys and my guys something to fire and fight over kind of here, and then as the swarm kind of continues and consolidates in the middle, then you'll be in trouble.
Right.
With the TIE Punisher following behind.
So, turn 2, By that point, you had seen that I was very slow rolling my TIE SF out to the corner edge, and then just bringing a striker through the middle, and then everything else just kind of met your tar pit, so that worked. You kept me over there. I have to ask, at the point that you saw on turn 1 when I barrel rolled to the edge so that I would be slower coming in, why didn't you just, like, rush, like, speed 3, speed 4, everything just comes to that thing?
Again, I'm still trying to get the nuance of the swarm build. That was just, I'm chalking that up to inexperience, where I'm not used to playing these builds.
Okay.
I'm kind of definitely rank-wise, I'm the amateur X-Wing player. I'm definitely the amateur.
He's been to tournaments. He's not an amateur.
I've been to 2 tournaments, and those were the pretty much the last 2 times I've played X-Wing.
Yeah, but you're still good. So new to swarms, not new to the game in any way.
No, definitely trying to figure out swarms and how to best magnify those.
Yeah. Okay. So then I managed to kill your winter TIE fighter over here.
Yeah.
And punch through the tar pit. And from there, the game just kind of played out of you moving in and me collapsing in on your flank.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened. It just, from there, we were definitely reaching the end game, and at that point, we pretty much were timing out. We had just flown everywhere we could possibly think of, tried everything. At one point, I messed up because I thought I saw one of my dial readings as, like, this one maneuver.
And then it wasn't.
And it wasn't the maneuver.
Whee.
And so that mistake definitely hurts.
It was the TIE Punisher swifting out to the edge of the board. He thought that was going to actually spin around because some ships can do that.
The room was dark.
Between turns, we had really dark lighting.
And that's whenever we were setting our dials. And so I saw this red maneuver thinking it's going to be that one move that Poe Dameron can do where, like, it's the 45-2, and then, like, he does a K-turn at the end. It's like the S-turn.
Bro. Big heavy bomber ship don't fly like Poe Dameron.
But it could.
No. The Empire was not that good. Not old school Empire, anyway. We'll see about the First Order. They can do some interesting things.
I kind of want to see a First Order bomber. That'll be...
Right?
Right?
Fantasy Flight, get on it. We want First Order bombers.
Now.
Like, the TIE Silencer looks cool, but I've already got interceptors, man. Although... Kylo Ren as a pilot. I'm looking forward to that. Like, not in the transport ship, but actually as a fighter pilot.
Oh, man. Is there any lore right now for him?
They released for the new movie that they released an image of the TIE Silencer that's going to be his personal ship, kind of like the TIE Advance was Vader's. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to have the TIE Silencer. It's basically an upgraded interceptor.
Neat.
Yeah. So the last couple of things I want to touch on was one of your TIE FOs, you kept all the way on the edge of the board and very, very slowly brought him around. Mm-hmm. And he could have ended up in a really good flanking position, but he just didn't get in the fight quick enough.
No.
And was that just, again, you're trying to bring them all to bear, but wasn't figuring out speed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because typically I am a very reserved player.
Right.
All my other previous builds have always been like these big, very slow ships, very heavy, powerful ships.
Lambdas.
Definitely lambdas. And, like, so I'm cruising. I'm always cruising. And I just...
Because you don't want anything to get behind a lambda.
Oh, no, because... like the bomber, lambdas have... Those bigger ships have less and less maneuverability.
Space Cow.
Yeah.
So, for audience knowing experience difference, my very first build was 7 TIE fighters. I'm used to swarms. I've been playing swarms since wave 1. So, my 5 ships, I was used to that. Another thing that ended up happening was right at the end, I caught it where all my ships were inside your formation and all your ships were facing the wrong direction.
Yes.
And, oh man, that kept you from killing the TIE SF. You could only ever bring one ship to shoot at that thing at a time.
I know, but every time I shot at it, I hit.
Tink, 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 all your shields. Like,
Like, didn't I get... I'm pretty sure I got
one roll.
1 health.
You got it down to 1 health. Your first roll, you took out half its health in 1 hit. Just poof. No more shields.
The dice gods were kind to me.
I thought it was going to blow up the next turn. I really did. And then somehow I just bumped my way to not dying. And
Yeah, that was another thing. Like, towards the end game, we kept on bumping into each other.
oh, that's a swarm thing. If it's swarm versus swarm, we're going to hit each other. There's no way that we're not. And it's actually a swarm tactic to use one of your smaller ships to gum up the movement lane if you're moving first. And that way the enemy bumps a bunch and loses their actions, so that then the rest of your swarm can be like, can't dodge now, and blow it up. But unfortunately, that was why I took initiative, so you couldn't do that, given you had so many ships at Pilot 1. It's actually one of the few scenarios where having low pilot skill is better than high pilot skill. So what it came down to is I had slightly better positioning, a little more experience, and just you didn't quite strike me when you should have. And really, the asteroids helped. Funny, I hit the obstacles twice. You only hit them once at the very end. That's why I got TIE 42. God, he spent, what, 2 turns of dodging everything except like 1 or 2 hits. And then finally...
Man, it was great. We were making up like invincible jokes and like how this one was chosen by the dice gods. It was great.
42, he has the meaning of life and everything. So, MVPs of the game. So my MVP for the game was definitely my TIE advances in combination. Just the target lock, dead. Target lock, dead. Like, one of them was always able to strip off your actions, and then the other one would just bring the pain. I thought the TIE SF would be doing a lot more damage with accuracy corrector, that guaranteed dice damage. But no, these guys were definitely my MVPs.
You kept on target locking, and that's even, and amazingly, even whenever TIE 42 came into play, like, I was dodging all those target locks. You were rolling so well with those target locks. It was ridiculous.
Hey, rerolls on a 50% chance is pretty high odds.
That's true, yeah.
So for you, the TIE 42.
TIE 42, the luckiest son of a gun you will ever meet.
Oh my god. Why won't you die? Although, to be fair, you were saying that about TIE SF.
Yes, I was. And then my potential MVP, I'm definitely going to say is the TIE Punisher.
I think if you had brought him to bear sooner, he would have dropped a payload faster than I could have killed him.
Oh yeah, because I had extra munitions on him and 3 different types of torpedoes and missiles. Actually, no, it was just 2. It was just the 2 different types because I'm thinking 3 because extra munition takes up that.
Right.
That 1 torpedo spot. But yeah, so I had 4 missiles I could just waylay on any of you.
Honestly, for that, I would suggest dropping the weapons system upgrade on the TIE FO and put a seismic charge on this thing so that when I fly past you with like the striker ended up just stuck behind you, you could have dropped a bomb on my face and flew away. And that could have definitely been also against a swarm. If I cluster up on that thing to kill it and it goes, bomb, bye.
Very true. The reason why I didn't is because I didn't have the card. I was looking through all my stuff and I was like,
you could have used mine. Oh well. That's
But
thoughts for later. Thoughts for later. So, what would we have done differently?
So me, being very inexperienced with swarms, I would have acted more or less like a swarm. That's how I would have done things. Definitely rush in more. Still kind of create a like protection barrier between whatever you had and the TIE Punisher. But strangely enough, not use the TIE Punisher as like a bomber, but as like part of the swarm, as something that like the queen bee, if you will.
Oh yeah. No, I think that would be a very viable strategy since I'd be stuck between, do I try and pick off the fighters that have less health but more dodge, or do I throw everything, especially if it's in the back, long-range shots into the Punisher, who has more health but less dodgy, so I have more chance of getting damage through, but would it matter? Because one turn of all your ships firing, TIE SF is gone. Next turn, all your ships firing, probably going to lose one of my advances. I mean, it would be a much harder fight if I had to joust you. In fact, if that were the case, I probably would have flown away from you, again, to drag you into those asteroids, because I didn't want to face that.
Oh, no, and the asteroids, with the TIE fighters having such little health and really no shields, except for the TIE FOs, that could have destroyed a lot of my ships.
I think for how this game played out, what I would do differently is I think I would have clustered mine up a little more, like even if it's just put them all on this side instead of having the TIE SF out here by himself, because the striker did not effectively flank and help, hilariously, because you move so slow. He was like, I'm gonna get you. Oh, you're in front of me. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And thankfully I bumped into you, so one of your ships couldn't shoot me at all, and the other one had just barely gotten out of fire arc.
Yeah, it was...
Yeah, but that could have I could have lost the striker right then and there. But definitely, I think splitting my forces, same thing. It was kind of the same problem. I was bringing a small swarm, and I split my forces. I just was clever enough to make my ones that were over here move slowly so that the rest could get into the fight first. And that's really the big strategic difference between what we did was I just got some of my heavy hitters in the fight sooner.
So I know I should be really upset that, I lost in the end, but I lost to a way more experienced player and I only lost a couple of ships. I'm really glad about that. And call me an idealist or a overly optimistic dreamist, but I still feel like with enough K turns, I could have pulled something together at the end and maybe at least taken out one of your big heavy hitters. Definitely that TIE SF. Definitely the TIE SF.
Yeah. No, and the ending score was 100-71. I mean, so I killed 2 ships, which was a literal third of your ships and roughly a third of your points. I mean, this thing counted for way more than your fighters, but it was actually pretty close. I mean, a margin of 29 points is really small in a tournament setting. So, no, that was a good game. It was a friendly game too.
Definitely,
It's not like either one of us was like, this is tournament build. This was our friendly game. So, good game, and I look forward to the next one.
Me too.
Alright, Acolytes, if you enjoyed this tactical talk and you're looking forward to more of our videos, hit that subscribe button and then click on that bell so that you can see these as soon as they come up. We'll be hopefully making more very soon.
If you have any sort of suggestions for what we can do in a future video, like any other conditions you want to see played out, certain builds, we're definitely open for all of that. You need to leave those in the comment section below, and we'll definitely take a look at them and see what we can create to make you happy.
I look forward to you joining the Ordo Ludus.